Kenya. Now, with the stock exchange at a 4-year volume high, investors are concerned whether or not stocks listed on the Nairobi Stock Exchange are fairly valued. We caught up with Samuel Gachoy, research analyst at NSE Capital. And just keep in mind, of course, the stock exchange in Kenya closed today, but the commentary is all about the fact that stocks are overvalued. So this is what he had to say.
Well, I think the 4 years has been a roller coaster. We did have a very low after the credit crunch crisis, so we've been on a recovery. Path. Don't forget that we did see those levels after Safaricom came on the market, and so I think that means we are actually back where we began before the slump. That said, I do think that we are looking at quite a high pricing levels. We are seeing more speculative investment. We are also seeing a lot of investors now looking at the PE ratios, what could still be underpriced in relation to the sector that they're trading in, etc. But then again, considering the fact that the macroeconomic factors and the global economic factors are favoring frontier markets, and Kenya being one of those frontier markets that are considered to be some of the best frontier markets in the world and the most stable, and of course the political risk factor that has just been removed by our recent elections, I think we are looking at a bull run, say, going towards the end of the year as well.
Okay, so looking at some of the stocks that we're likely to be watching come Wednesday after the inauguration on Tuesday, which are some of these stocks that are on your buy recommendation list?
Well, I'd stay with the blue chips, because one thing is, as I said, the foreign economic issues are actually coming to play here. Foreign markets are not giving very good returns at the moment. We are still seeing a lot of issues in Europe with the crisis out there, and the US is also not doing very well. The recovery has been long drawn. So most of these foreign investors are looking to come onto our markets, and coming onto our markets means that we are going to see a lot of activity on those companies that offer the deal sizes that foreign investors feel comfortable with and feel that have the sort of liquidity that they're also comfortable with. So that said, we're looking at the Safaricoms. I think the announcement coming in a few weeks should be one reason why the market will begin to factor in the expected result, having come from an election year, and of course Safaricom doing very well with all the M-Shwari and all that. I do think that they're going to see quite a good increase in profits, and that is one of the things that the foreign investors will be cashing in on. Then we are also looking at the equities, the KCBs, and those are really those companies, the East Africa breweries, BAT, and those are the ones that the foreigners tend to look at. Now, but we are also seeing very high liquidity on the local market. The locals have a lot of cash in their hands. I think the elections sort of brought a very high liquidity level. Inflation is still quite low. People have disposable income. So if we have both sides of this market actually coming into play, then it means that we could see much higher turnover levels, and this is going to drive the bull run. But we will see slight corrections along the way, because we do expect that going forward we will see levels of profit-taking, levels of support, and levels of resistance on the various counters.
Does that mean that investors are very optimistic of the incoming government, or is it the macroeconomic conditions that are favorable?
Well, both. I think the incoming government, the fact that we have the underlying structures coming in with the new constitution, the new county governments coming in will mean there's a lot of infrastructure spend, which will also bring in a lot of spending for this, which will actually gain a lot of the private sector companies. I think the policies like 2030, Vision 2030, all that comes into play, and the fact that we have political stability, having gone through 2007 and now gone through the 2013 without a hitch, I think that brings a new level of confidence, and that new level of confidence means that Kenya being the entry point for the region in terms of capital markets then really offers a huge investment opportunity for foreign investors, diaspora. I think we're going to see a lot of diaspora bringing their money back in, because now they feel that they can actually start to take part in nation building.
So come Wednesday, we're expecting a bull run.
Well, I do expect that we might see corrections. Having seen the market continue to rise, across the campaigning period, something we did not expect. We expected that with higher, risk levels. But you see, bulls feed on themselves, and we have been in a bullish period, so the bull is still feeding on itself. We are seeing increased liquidity levels apart from the slight slump during the time when we had the petition, and now we've seen a sudden spike. But we are also seeing profit taking, which means that we will see continuous fluctuations coming from where certain investors feel that they have made their money, they take profit, but then because we have high liquidity, low inflation, and all these different factors working together, and the shilling also being quite strong, means that this will help to push the bullish.
Which has also now attracted the foreign investors into the market. Absolutely,
absolutely, and we're happy about that. I think, but the interesting thing is the return of the local investors, because the foreign investors stayed in the market. I think they had it was what we call the devil's alternative, a bad market for a risky market. They chose a risky market, so they stayed in our market. They continued to push our stocks higher, and that is actually one of the reasons why we continue to see stocks continue to rise, even while we were expecting the increased political risk that comes with the elections to have pushed them away. It did not. They continued to see that they would rather take that risk. I think they could see that with the new constitution, the chances of going back into what happened in 2007 was also quite unlikely.